guys, happy Friday. I wanted to show you this necklace that I just finished making this morning. I used one of my epoxy sculpt beads that I make, and I wrapped it with coils and stuff like that. This really isn't very hard. We'll do that another day. But what I wanted to show you today is how to make chain. A lot of times you see that wrapped chain that you buy, has pretty little beads on it. And you get it from India or China, whatever. It's actually a pretty good chain. We sell it at the site. And every time we get a new shipment in, people just go nuts and eat it up. You know, people love that rosary style chain that's wrapped. But it's a little bit spendy. And you know, you might think, well, looking at that, I have a lot of really cool beads here. I would rather use my beads, and it would look a lot better, look more customized. And I would have to agree with you. That would really be true. So I did that. I made my own custom chains. On this side, I used a lot of chunky beads. I even used a big filigree tube. And I wrapped everything. Now, some of the bigger sections on this side, I did use a twisted jump ring, and we do have them at the website in number of sizes. But on this side, this is completely wrapped. Everything here is wrapped. I don't know if you can zoom it a little bit so they can see closer. Yeah, probably you can see it. It'd be nice if I didn't shake too, huh? But anyway, I wrapped everything on here. And I don't do this every day, so I'm a little slow at it, but it all goes to practice. So, and I love doing this. I don't have a problem with doing it at all. It's just, you know, taking the time to do it. So I thought I would share that with you for our Friday videos, how you can make your own custom wire wrap chain. Cool, right? Want to do it? Sure. So I'll show you a little bit about it, and then basically it's the same process all the way down the chain. Okay, so here I've got 5.5 inches of 20 gauge silver wire, and this is not the expensive stuff. It's the copper base wire that has the silver color over the top. And I cut about 5.5 inches because it gives me a lot of playroom. You may be able to do it with less, especially if your beads are smaller. You could. I just like to have a lot of playroom because this wire is not expensive. So if I use a little too much and have to, you know, cut it off, I'm okay with that. So anyway, what I do is I start, before I start to looping, and I want to get about 1.5 inches. And then I take my looping pliers and I just bend it over like this. And now I just bring it around. A lot of this you just pull it with your fingers. Pull it around. And I'm going to come off the pliers. I've got a little crookedy loop. Now I'm going to set it up right. And then the wire will cross. This isn't too bad of a loop. Okay, so the trick is can I make them all like that? That's where it takes the practice. Because at first, don't be discouraged. You probably won't have them all perfect. Some people can, but you probably won't. That's okay. So long as you have them close, you're fine. Okay, so now I'm going to wrap it. Normally I do about three wraps, and I do it just with my fingers, so I'm going to push it over. And because this isn't a wonky wrap like I normally do, I want to be really careful that when I wrap it and I make my coils coming around, that they're meeting right up next to each other. See, already it went a little bit wonky-zoid, but it'll be okay. I don't require perfection. That's me. I like a little wabi-sabi in there, you know, embrace the imperfection. Okay, so now I've got my 3. I'm happy with this. I'm happy with how the loop looks for now. And then I'm going to go in here and I have to nip it off. So I'm going to try to get as close as I can. And I'm pointing this away from poor little Javi over here so she doesn't get it flinging over at her for some reason. Always point away. Okay, I've got a little nib left here. Little rough edge, fill over that. It's not sticking out too much, but I need to get that tamped down a little bit. So I'll take the little notch in these wolf pliers at the edge and just tamp it down a little bit. If I don't get it perfect right now, I'm not going to worry about it. A lot of times till you put the bead down over it doesn't matter anyway, but don't count on it. So when you get done with your chain, go back link by link, feel over it and make sure that it's smooth and you don't have anything sticking up or sticking out, because the people who wear your jewelry will not be happy. Now I'm going to put my bead on. I'm using Spectre beads. These are Spectre beads. I always have a stash of them down here. We sell them at the website. I love them. They're little glass beads, and they have lots of color, and then they have these little threads going around them, kind of, you know, all random, cool. I like that. We have used Spectre beads around here for years and years, and I love them. So we have some at the site in several colors, but that's what I'm using for this project for today. So I've got a nice limey green one. I like green. So I'm going to just push that down. Okay, now I'm ready to do my next loop. Now this is my first loop in my chain. So this one, I'm going to go ahead and wrap the whole thing. After that, you're only going to wrap one end and then leave the other open so you can connect it. And I'll show you that in a minute. But with this one, I'm going to do it all. And I want to try to get my loops going the same way if I can. Have them uniform the best I can. And I'll show you why. Okay, now, see it's going this way. I want to get this one going that way if I can. And then I'll bend it over. Being careful if you're using glass that you don't chip your glass. If you chip it a little bit around the hole, you probably can cover that when you wrap it, but maybe not. And if you're using expensive beads, you're going to be sad because you'll have to take it apart. Okay, so go this way. Wrap, wrap, wrap. Pull it around. Okay. Usually on this end, I tend to get a little bit bigger of a loop. I don't know why that is, but I do. And if I leave a little bit of space in here, it will wrap better. I should have left just a little more. We'll do that on the next one. Okay. So I'm going to adjust my loop a little bit, and I'm going to hold this, and I'm going to wrap, wrap, wrap. 1, 2, and you can see with the 5.5 inches, now I've got a nice long tail to wrap, right? And I'll show you. Now we can do something cool with that tail. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take that tail and just wrap it right over the other end. Doesn't that look pretty? Have a little bit of a ornament to it. Okay, so now you're going to have to wrap it on this end. So hold it firmly. Again, I'm going to take this to do it, and I'm going to wrap. And you want to get it kind of tied up. You don't want to have your loop like hanging out real far. It kind of looks strange if you do that. You have a little bit. That's to be expected, but... Okay, so now I'm done. And I need to trim it. So I like to trim it right up close to where the little ornament where it comes across. It seems like it's a good place to tuck it in. So I like to trim it off there. So really only come around one time up from that. Let's see, that needs to be trimmed a little bit more. Alrighty. So now, you know, that hardly doesn't need tamped down in at all. That's good. Okay, so now I've got this little piece. It's so cute. And actually, I've got one loop going this way and one loop going the other way. You can see I've got one going sideways, another one going the other sideways. The other sideways. And I would like, in a perfect world, to have my loops the same size. Now, you can do that. Javi was just suggesting to me that you could mark your pliers and stuff like that to get it just the same. Use your pliers in the same way every time. Those are things that you will learn as you go. But the basic premise is to wrap it is this. Now, when I do the next one, I get another 5.5 inch of wire. And I'm going to go 1.5 inches here. So I'll just kind of hold it with my fingers. Doesn't have to be totally exact because you can trim it. Now I'm going to bend it over, and I'm going to do what I did before. And one way you get your loops a little bit more uniform is, like I said, if you mark your pliers or you go the same place, you know, when you do it. Not like do it way up here and then way down here. Like if you did it way up here, you know, you'd have a great big loop. This way, the further toward the tip, I'm going to have a smaller loop. So I bend it around here, and I'm going to try to get this nice and clean. And I did pretty good. The reason why it gets a little bit harder on the other end is because I'm attaching it to the wire to the other bead, so it's a little bit more clumsy. And that's, again, something that you just need to do it till you get good at it. So now I'm going to wrap it. 1, 2, 3. I know how to do this well, but as far as good, I think I'm semi-good. I'm good enough that I can sell my work. It looks great. It's not going to fall apart. It's not going to snag anybody. And those are your main things you want. But I would like to refine my loops just a little bit, which I will do the more I do this, because I'm back to it again. I've got a whole bunch of ideas of projects to share with you guys with wire and stuff. Some of them I'll do, some Javi will do. So now I want to get that kind of tucked in like we do. You see, it wants to keep twisting. Is it raining where you are? It's raining here in Ohio today. I hear it.
Storming in Ohio.
Yeah, it was storming for a while. Okay, I've got that now. So now I'm going to go ahead and put my bead on like I did before. But here's the difference. We're going to attach this wire to this one. Now what you could do is you could attach it just with jump rings if you want. Just finish them all like this. And don't do what I'm about to show you. Just do them like that and just do jump rings. That's what I usually do. But I wanted to really challenge myself to make the chain without any jumps. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull this over like this. Careful I don't ding my bead up. Okay, and then I'm going to pull it over. And before I finish it off and adjust it, I am going to take and I'm going to slide this on here. Take the one hole from the other bead and just slide it on like that. Can you see that? So I slid it right down on there. Now I have to get this closed. That's where it gets a little bit, funky. This is where it's going to take practice. It's not hard. None of this is hard. Don't think it's hard. It's not hard. So I grabbed it in there so that I could twist it over, and I left a little bit of space in there so that I could wrap it nice. Let's see if I got it. I like to sometimes take my pliers and go in here on the end and just adjust it a little bit. Yeah, it's not looking too bad. It's a little bit crookedy, but that's okay. We can adjust it afterwards. It doesn't have to be now. Just perfect. Okay, now I'm going to hold on to this, pushing this bead down to the end as best I can as I wrap, because I don't want it sliding around. Now I want to be very, very careful to get nice uniform loops as I go. Wraps, should say, wraps. Careful I don't dig my bead. And now, okay, I've got them attached now. They are attached. And now I want to make sure that they swing free. You can see that. See? They're not kinked. And now I'm going to loop up above this one. And I'm going to go around one time. And I'm going to come around and I'm going to quit. Like I told you, right where this goes across, that's a really good place to cut it. Because it just seems like it will go down in there really good. And you don't have as much, tamping going on. That's basically it. So basically, to make the wire, you just keep going. It's the same thing, just going on down the line. You just keep going. But I'm going to take a minute before I hop off of here today, and I'm going to show you what it looks when you do like a segment, where you put more than one bead on and wrap it. I'm going to do that real quick before I hop off today. I'm not going to bother to attach it. I'm just going to, because you learned the attachment, you saw it. You can always go, what's cool about videos, you can always roll them back and see. So now I've got these two nicely wrapped ones, and they are kind of going different ways, but that's okay. It's that kind of wire. It's that kind of, not wire, it's kind of style. Like, we look at this. See, they're all wrapped. All these portions are wrapped. But some may be, a little bit different than others because we've got some bumpy beads. We've got some beads that are smooth. And that's another thing. If you use matte beads when you do this, it's a pretty look. I have a lot of them in here, but you have to be really careful you don't scratch them, because You can scratch a matte bead really easy and it doesn't look nice and you have to take it all apart. Okay, so I'm just going to quick do a section. Now, if I'm going to do a section of several beads, see, this is not a regular, like a section I want to do, because this is free. You know, it's not all in one piece. It's just link by link by link. Okay, I'm going to do one that has maybe 5 beads on it, or even 3. Okay, so now I need about 7.5 inches to do this, which might be a little bit too much. A lot of it has to do with the size of the bead that you select to use. If you're using little beads, you don't need as much. If you're doing big beads, then you need more. The loop size is not going to change. 1.5 is good for me. That's what I like. And it's the same deal. But what we want at the end is enough that we can wrap up the whole thing. That's the thing we want. So I hope I've cut enough, because it's always disappointing when you can't wrap the whole thing. Okay, so now I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, yay! And I'm going to go ahead and cut this off. I have other videos about this I made a long time ago when I was down at the shop. There must be 7 or 8 years old. I can make a little charm dangles and stuff. That's a little rough. You know, I'll get that at the end, so we don't waste all of our time doing that. I'll get that at the end. Okay, so here's what I want to do. I want to take one of these little blueberry beads that I have. I just found them in my stash down here. I know we used to have some at the site. I don't think we do. You know what? This isn't going to... Oh, some of them, that's a bad thing with 20 gauge. You can't get it over all the beads sometimes. This one, yeah, right. Just have to select it. Just have to go through and look for one. Okay, so now I've got a little end cap. And you can use bead caps too if you want to. Bead caps are fine. Okay, so now I'm going to do 3 different colors. What colors will I do? I'm going to do... No, I'm not. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do some little beads, so that I'm sure I have enough to wrap this. So here's a nice little lavender bead I'll put in there. Should look okay. Yeah, it looks good. Then I'm going to put this one in the middle. 2 lavenders. Oh, that's pretty with that blue, isn't it? That is so pretty with the blue. And then I'm going to do another little lavender. There's all kinds of colors in these spectre beads. They're just so fun. It's kind of a blue lavender, not quite. Lavender blue, like they call it. Okay, so now I'm going to put this here. I've got a lot of wire left, but that's okay because I want to be sure I have enough when I'm showing you. You'll get it down. You'll figure it out. It has a lot. How much wire you use has a lot to do with how many beads you use and how big they are. These are small beads, so I probably don't need this much. I can bend this over, and I'm just going to go ahead and close it as if I was going to do these connected with jump rings. Do like my gypsy type beading. Okay, so this comes over and around, and now I want to just kind of get this tighter so it looks more like the other end, and the other end is very tight. So I'm going to have to play with it just a little bit. And it's okay that it's going all up like that because I have a nice loop and that's what I want. And the loop is it. So, and I've got a little play to wrap. So now I'm going to wrap 3 times. And then that's when we're going to get fun. Okay, 3 times. Could have been tighter. But this is just so you get the point. Okay, these are both going the same way. That's good for jumps. Get them going the same way for jumps is best. Okay, so now I'm going to wrap. I'm going to go right over that cap. And I'm going to go right over that middle bead. A lot of times you just use your fingers. And I'm going to go over this little bead. Get them all going the same way if I can. And now I'm going to wrap it around here. And I'm going to go around probably just once in this case. And I'll stop right here where it the loop comes across. Because like I said, that's a really good place to start. The thing is, you get a few more loops around this end. So you tend to have a little bit more going on this side than this side. So that again would be something that you want to tighten up and play with. Probably having a little bit more space in the stem would take care of that. Like I say, this is a little bit tough for me because I always did wonky reps. Not trying to excuse myself, I just always did messy reps. That was my style, that's what I liked. But I always envied the ones that I saw have it so precision and so excellent. So, you know, I'm somewhere between there. I'm not excellent precision, but I'm not entirely wonky here. Okay, get that tucked in. So there's my section. Wouldn't that make a pretty necklace? You know, have all linked up. Now you could go ahead and link them like I showed you with this. Self-link them. Oh, this is the wrong one. That was one I was practicing on. That was my practice one. You could self-link them, or you could use jump rings. I like using jump rings, being honest. But sometimes it's good to challenge yourself and go ahead and just link them all up. Just like you were buying chain like this, only it's your own beads that you like the best. So that's pretty much how it goes. So hey, all you need is a pliers, a cutters, and I like a flat nose, or you can use a bent nose pliers if you like. You need some beads you love. At first you might want to use practice beads, so if you lose them, you don't care so much. You need a spool of 20 gauge wire, whatever size you like to work off of, it's fine. And you need a ruler so that you can measure, so you get them just right. And then go for it and have fun. That's what it's about. It's about the fun. So I wish you much fun doing this, and we will catch you next time with a new technique.